8-4 Cowboys action as they went into New Orleans, their third game in 12 days. And they snuck out with a victory. They pulled out a victory. Their defense took over the game, I guess is the best way to say it, because their offense continued to have struggles. So many things to talk about on the offense. I don't know if it's just the play calling, the lack of confidence in the offensive line now to get off the ball and get the running game going. But in all their victories, except for this last one, the Cowboys have won those games by kind of dictating the pace of the game, and they decide when they're running and when they're passing, and one playing off the other. But in this recent string of games where they've lost 2 out of 3 in that 12-game period, and their other losses on the year, except for that Tampa Bay game, it just didn't work out for them that game. But the other 3 losses, it all came down to becoming pass happy in those games and getting away from the run. And you might go and look at the stats from the New Orleans game and say, hey, Pete, they ran the ball fine, but there was a 56-yard rush for a touchdown by Pollard, and there was a end around by I think it was Cedric Wilson for not Cedric Wilson. He wasn't playing. One of the backup receivers, wideouts, that was for like 33 yards. That was the bulk of the rushing there. Now Zeke had 45 yards, but it was on,
it's not where you're looking for out of Zeke.
14 attempts. That's a 2 yard per carry average isn't he's or like at 3 yards per carry, which is what he's been averaging over these games. That's not Zeke numbers. He's more of a 5 yards per carry guy.
Is he hurt? What's going on?
Yeah, he's got a knee issue. But if it is bothering him to that degree, you have an able back in Pollard. There's no reason for him not to take over the lion's share of the snaps. You don't have to keep Zeke completely out of the game. But let Pollard get the, it's kind of like that thunder and lightning thing. Pollard's the lightning and Zeke's the thunder. So
I love that shit.
And it works, when you have 2 running backs that have different styles like that, it takes, the defense gets thrown off by it. Cause in Pollard's touchdown, they literally did not realize how fast he was. And the defender taking the angle like slowed up, thinking he was going to slow up and make the move, and Pollard just ran right past him. Like it was ridiculous, and
right into the end zone. He just
right into the end zone.
Right
It was hilarious, and it was. I was happy the Cowboys won because the NFL, unlike college football, there's no style points in the NFL. A win's a win.
Well, I saw you now have an 89% chance of winning the division. And if you win this Sunday, you've got
probably goes to 100%.
Yeah, I think it's 98%. So
and this is the game. This is the game that has been circled on the calendar after they started losing some games because Washington's been winning a lot of games. In fact, I believe they won 4 in a row. It is. But part of the reason this game's been circled on the calendar is this is the game which I mentioned last week, and it's a go. We're going to have 100% functioning defense, and you saw DeMarcus Lawrence in limited play wreak havoc last week in New Orleans, and you saw Micah Parsons continue his campaign for Rookie of the Year, maybe even Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he leads the league. He's tied for the league with 16 tackles for a loss. Wow. That's tied for number 1. He's number 10. He's number 8 with 10 sacks. The thing that's funny about that, that's coming out of the linebacker position. So most of your sack leaders are normally someone on the defensive end. So, but this week against the football team, the Cowboys get Randy Gregory's back. As I mentioned last week, Gilmore will return to the defensive line, and for the first time this entire season, the front four will be the starting front four for the Cowboys.
Wow.
So that allows Micah Parsons now to legitimately line up wherever. Like Dan Quinn now has the assortment of weapons at his disposal to have Parsons coming out of whatever slot he wants him to come out of. And that is going to cause a lot of issues for all the teams going forward.
Wow.
So if this defense stays healthy, you want to be healthy going into December and into the playoffs, not healthy at that front half of the year and then have these injuries late. So hopefully the Cowboys have gotten the injuries out of the way, and this, after playing those 3 games in 12 days, they've had a 10-game layoff to get healthy. So you'll have Amari Cooper back at 100%. He was only used in about, I think, 50% of the plays even. Because he was still having breathing issues
From COVID.
So
wow, I didn't hear about that. That's tough.
He's reconditioning. He spent a lot of time conditioning over these 10 days to get back into game shape. But I see the Cowboys running on all cylinders and taking the football team for a loss at home in the football field of the football team. And I'm just going to try to say football as many times as possible.
I feel like the Redskins name has officially died. Like we don't make that mistake anymore. I don't hear many people make that mistake anymore. I think football team is 100% caught on. It almost makes you think they might keep that. I've heard, they're still trying to rename the team, but it's caught on. I think people fucking love it. I think they should remain football team.
Why not at this point? Because how
great.
hard there were so many low-hanging fruit options in Washington to name the team, to take this amount of time, and
I don't know.
I think it's football team going forward.
Football team, that or the Pigskins. I thought that would have been great.
That would have been good. So I think the Cowboys go to 9-4 and take a 3-game lead in that division. I think Philly is not a very good team, and I think Jalen Hurst has not that great of a quarterback. So I think they're not really an issue. I think really it's about beating Washington. They play Washington two times over the next 3 games. So win one of those and you're well on your way to securing the division.
Word Hole Media.